Hey, just wanted to give a quick review on this PMM Tamiya TT-01 clone. Um, it's pretty solid, you know, nice machining on the parts, carbon's cut all nice. For the 110 bucks that I spent on Amazon to get this thing, I'm pretty happy. But there are some things that are pretty subpar. Um, Coming from the low C chassis or the team associated chassis, those things, the suspension bits are all nice and tight. And some stuff on this car just drive me nuts. So one thing in particular is, the kit doesn't come with any kind of shims or anything. You can see how much play is on this upper A arm. And pretty much every piece has that much play. So what that translates to, and the nut is tight there, is just a whole bunch of play all in the suspension and everything. The drivetrain consists of these dog bones, front and rear. You don't get CVDs in the front, so these things actually bind at full turn. But the knuckles and the axles, they come like this, and you can see how much play you get back and forth. So there were no shims for the axle. So what I recommend doing is I bought this this bearing and shim kit on Amazon. It was maybe like 10 bucks. It's all empty right now because I put all the parts in here. But basically it's new bearings and a whole bunch of shims, right? The sizes would be right there. Right? For Traxxas it says, but apparently, it's all metric, so as long as you match up the bearing size, everything will work. The reason why I wanted the bearings is because these bearings have a ton of side-to-side play, like a ton of lash in them. So I'm trying to tighten up that whole drivetrain, so I figured for the 10 bucks for the bearings and the shims, why the hell not, right? So what I did in the front here, if you pop out these two screws right here on the carbon, you can pull this piece of aluminum back, and then I slid a shim. Let's see, it's kind of hard to see, but a black shim right there and a shim right there as well. And that really tightened up the play in the upper arms, so that was nice. The lower arms didn't have as much play, probably because it's into the composite pieces of the gearbox. But anywhere there was aluminum into aluminum, there was definitely a decent amount of play, and that's nice and tight now. One thing that I can't solve is there is some play in this little ball right here, and that just unfortunately is what it is. So I put the shim there. The other area that I did it, come on, focus on me, in between the pin and the bearing, I put about 3 shims, basically as many as you can squeeze in there without it binding, right? And then pop the pin back in, and that really helped. To take care of the binding and the steering, they actually sell, where is it? My workbench is a little bit of a mess right now. Right here. So they actually do sell a CVD kit for this chassis, the TT-01 anodized blue or anodized red, you pick your flavor, blue raspberry or cherry, right? But they do sell the CVD kit, and that definitely takes up a lot of play in those dog bones. And at full turn, they're not going to bind, because at full turn it was very clunky when I was throttling up. So between the CVDs, the shims, and the new bearings and the knuckles, that is definitely going to take care of a bunch of the play. In the steering rack itself, you can see how much play I got here. So I'm going to end up popping these guys off and seeing if I can shim that a little bit as well. Those might be some 3mm shims, not the 5mm shims like on the axles. But that play right there is translating into some sloppy steering. And sloppy steering ends up meaning that your car is not going to track all that well, right? Like self-centering and whatnot. But all in all, in general, I mean, it's a solid kit. you know, especially for the 110 bucks, all carbon and aluminum, oil-filled shocks that seem like they have decent dampening. The spring rate's a little bit stiff, but you know, 110 bucks, right? Um, but you know, spend, I think it was $15 on that CVD kit, which came with all four. So you can pop in all four or just save them for the front, you know, and when they blow out, you can do that. Change those, have some backups. So 15 bucks for the CVDs, and then 10 bucks for the bearing and shim kit. And, you know, I'd say it's a pretty solid ride. Not bad. Have a good one.